The day America kept a secret from itself. On the morning of April 12, 1945, the most powerful nation on earth did not yet know what it had already become. The newspapers screamed about victory in Europe. Radios hummed with optimism. Factories roared like iron beasts fed by hope and steel. American mothers folded uniforms with trembling pride. Soldiers counted days. Politicians smiled for cameras. But deep in the New Mexican desert, behind fences that did not exist on maps, a truth slept, unfinished, unstable, and terrifying. A truth that would end one war and begin a new age of fear. The President of the United States was dead, and the man who replaced him did not know the secret he was about to inherit. Harry S. Truman stood in the Oval Office, gripping the arms of his chair, listening as Henry Stimson cleared his throat. "There is," Stimson said carefully, "a matter of extreme urgency, Mr. President, something you were not briefed on as Vice President." Truman blinked. "I was Vice President," he replied bluntly. "I should have been briefed on everything." Stimson did not argue. Instead, he said 7 words that quietly split history in two. "We are building a weapon of unimaginable power." The secret city that wasn't supposed to exist. 3 years earlier, Los Alamos was nothing more than wind, dust, and silence. No traffic lights, no elected officials, no birth certificates. Yet by 1945, it housed some of the most brilliant minds ever assembled by one government in human history. Albert Einstein never set foot there, but his equation haunted every room. J. Robert Oppenheimer, thin as a ghost and burning with restless intelligence, walked its dirt paths like a prophet who feared his own revelation. Enrico Fermi calculated futures in chalk. Richard Feynman cracked safes for fun. Teenage soldiers guarded gates without knowing what they were guarding. And no one was allowed to talk about it. Not to parents, not to spouses, not even to God. The project had no official name at first. Later, they called it the Manhattan Engineer District. History would remember it as the Manhattan Project. America's quietest war decision. The irony was brutal. While millions of Americans believed the war would be won by tanks, ships, and soldiers, the true outcome was being decided by equations scribbled at midnight and uranium weighed to the gram. The United States was not racing Germany for territory, it was racing time. Intelligence reports whispered that Nazi scientists were exploring nuclear fission. If Hitler obtained the bomb first, the war would not end, it would freeze the world into permanent terror. So America made a decision so secretive that even democracy itself was temporarily locked out. Congress did not vote. The public did not debate. Allies were only partially informed. Billions of dollars vanished into a project officially described as engineering research. In reality, it was the construction of the end of innocence. The scientist who feared his own success. Robert Oppenheimer did not look like a man destined to change the world. He smoked endlessly. He spoke softly. He doubted constantly. But General Leslie Groves, the military mind behind the project, saw something others missed. Oppenheimer could unite geniuses. And geniuses, Groves knew, were the most dangerous weapon of all. Oppenheimer understood the theory. What he feared was the consequence. Late at night, he would quote ancient Sanskrit texts to himself. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." At the time, no one understood why. They soon would. A president who wasn't supposed to decide this. Harry Truman had been vice president for only 82 days before Roosevelt died.
He had not been invited into the inner sanctum. He had not seen the reports. He had not been told the cost. Now the decision sat on his desk like a loaded gun. Use the weapon or invade Japan. An invasion, generals estimated, could cost 1 million American casualties. The bomb promised something different. One strike, one shock, one ending. But no one on Earth truly knew what would happen when the atom was torn apart by human hands. Not even the men who built it. July 16, 1945, the night the world changed forever. At 5:29 a.m., the desert turned into a second sun. Observers miles away felt heat on their faces. The ground trembled. The sky burned. Some scientists cheered. Others cried. One vomited. The Trinity test was successful. Humanity had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. And the weapon was no longer theoretical. It was real. Back in Washington, Truman would soon carry a burden no president before or after had ever carried in quite the same way. He would decide not just how a war ended, but how the future began. And America, confident, victorious, and unaware, stood at the center of a moral earthquake that would define the next century. This is not just the story of a bomb. This is the story of how the United States learned to live with the power to end the world, and how it almost didn't survive the knowledge.